Will everyone please join me in Gasho as I read the words of our founding priest, Shinran Shonin. Bodhisattva Maitreya must pass 5,670,000,000 years before attaining Buddhahood, but the person who realizes true Shinjin will attain enlightenment with the end of this life. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namandats, 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 namandats. Good morning, everyone. And happy holidays to all of you. Did everyone here have an enjoyable time with friends and family for the Christmas holiday this year? I certainly hope so. Reverend Cindy and I did our usual family celebration where we have to switch off every year. So one year we go to my side of the family, the next year we go to her side of the family. So this year was my side of the family, and we drove directly from Portland all the way to the Bay Area in California. That was a long ride, and especially with a cat in the back seat. We took our cat with us. We're kind of crazy that way. We're crazy cat people. You know, the holidays are always an enjoyable time, but especially for a lot of us, you know, it's a very busy time as well because, you know, it's an enjoyable time, but a very busy time because you know, you have to go and prepare for, you know, the family gatherings at times, but also if you're from the Japanese American families, you know, you don't have much respite in between Christmas and New Year's because then you have to do the New Year's celebration and what's called the Shogatsu party, and you have to ready to welcome your relatives all over again. It's actually this kind of a blur between Christmas and New Year's when you think about it. But, you know, when you think about it as well, even the time between Christmas and New Year's is also kind of a blur as well, because, you know, they're just within those 6 days, the year is done, and we are cycling into a new year. The quote that I did this morning comes from Shinran Shonin's Hymns of the Dharma Ages, or the Shozo Matsuwasan. And it kind of sounds weird. Well, I'll read it again. Bodhisattva Maitreya must pass 5,670,000,000 years before attaining Buddhahood. So this is referring to Miroku Bosatsu, or Maitreya Bodhisattva. Maitreya Bodhisattva is the Buddha of the future. So just like Christianity, where there is a prediction that Jesus will once again come back to this world, you know, there is actually also in Buddhist cosmology and timeline, there is a time where the Buddha will return to this world as well. However, as you can see by Shinran Shonin's timeline, and by the way, this was written back sometime in the 1200s, right? You know, we still have a long way to go before Miroku Bosatsu is ready to attain Buddhahood and return to this world to teach true Buddhism. So with my age that I am right now, 35 years old, I'm most likely not going to make it to that time period where, you know, Miroku Bosatsu comes to this world to teach true Buddhism. The point of this wasan, though, is not to give us this like never-ending, you know, timeline to wait upon, but it is to encourage all of us to self-reflect in our own practice here of the Nembutsu teaching, Namo Amida Butsu. You know, Jodo Shinshu in Buddhist terminology is a religion of self-reflection. You know, it encourages us to self-reflect on our imperfect selves on a daily basis. You know, realizing that just because we follow the teachings of Buddhism, or just because we, you know, are on the Buddhist path, or that we label ourselves as Buddhists, doesn't mean that we're above reproach. Doesn't mean that we're, you know, perfect practitioners, and doesn't mean that we're fully enlightened right now as it is. You know, this is why we actually say Namo Amida Butsu. So for our new time visitors here, you know, you hear us putting our hands together saying Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo. Why are we doing this? This is because there's many reasons to Namo Amida Butsu, but one of the reasons is we are acknowledging our imperfect selves and our need and reliance on other tariki or other power or other versions of the Dharma to come to us from outside of our imperfect selves, to guide us and to lead us to nirvana. This is, no better time to do this is right now. But to bring it back to a secular and to a, more in this life, we are approaching the end of the year. So as we say, we start to think about New Year's resolutions. Show of hands, do you all make New Year's resolutions for yourselves when the New Year's? Okay, a couple people. Man, the rest of you are perfect as you are. I'm just joking. Of course you are. There's nothing wrong with having New Year's resolutions, right? For me, actually, last year, how did I do? So for last year, my New Year's resolution was to get healthier and to lose weight. And I can safely say I have done that. Looking at the scale, I have lost a consecutive 30 pounds since last year to now. So I did pretty well for myself, but why, what is this, right? Maybe there might be a vain reason to this, like I want to look better, but at the same time, I also want to live longer, right? I also want to be healthier and live longer as well. And the reason for that, going back to when I had my doctor's appointment back in 2023, my doctor was very good and didn't shame me, didn't berate me or didn't make me feel bad, but also gave me a sense of urgency. She told me, I'm a little concerned about your weight, I'm a little concerned about what your blood work is showing, I'm concerned about your levels, right? Your heart rate too, right? Your stress levels, and because of this, if I see this trend continue, I may have to prescribe blood pressure medication. Now, of course, I may just have to go on blood pressure medication regardless. It could be a genetic thing too. But I talked to the doctor and I asked her, if I really commit to changing my lifestyle and to making myself, eat healthier and live a better life and exercise and move more, do you think we can delay the blood pressure medication? And she didn't give any false promises, right? She didn't say, she didn't say, oh, of course. She just said, it could happen, right? But of course, also assuring me that no matter what I do, right, it could lead to the point that I may have to take blood pressure medication. So I may just have to resolve that within myself at some point as well. That doesn't mean that I don't live a healthier lifestyle, right? Even if I have to take some type of medication to help regulate my blood pressure, doesn't mean that I just give up and eat whatever I want and just lounge about in front of the TV all day. It means that there's just an extra thing that I have to pay attention to. So with this in mind, I committed myself to a healthier living. I exercise a lot. Many of you who come down to the social hall see my own little personal gym, where I have my workout bench and my weights. And actually this year, with some of the gifts I received from family and friends this year for Amazon gift cards, I invested in a new treadmill, so that will be coming. And so I look forward to that fitness journey as well and adding more cardio and more steps to my days. But the point is that we often think about things in future text, in future context. I'll leave it till tomorrow. I'll start this the next day. I will make myself better the next day. I will look deep within myself the next day. I will commit to a better fitness journey, tomorrow. It's always tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow, right? We always leave it till that. And that's because, we have this inner klesha or imperfection within ourselves, not as a judgment, right? But to resist change. Right? Change is hard for us, but as we know, change is inevitable, whether we like it or not. And coming up to this new year, we once again realize that time stops for no one. Even though time is, in a sense, kind of a construct, we realize that it doesn't stop for anybody, right? I wish I had the body or the metabolism when I was in high school, when I could come home and raid the refrigerator and still have the energy and the appetite to eat dinner, right? My dad would, my brother and I would come home from school around 3 o'clock sometimes. We'd raid the refrigerator, dinner comes around, my dad opens it up when he gets home. He goes, hey, where'd the chicken go? And so we were going to eat that for dinner. And I can't do that anymore. I mean, heck, this holiday gathering, I felt stuffed. I was like, I can't eat anymore. And that felt frustrating too. Because I thought to myself, there was a time where I could eat 2 slices of this prime rib easily. Now I can only eat 1. Sometimes maybe even half of 1. And yet I'm still struggling on losing weight. What's going on here, right? It is inevitable change. Right? This is the change in my body that I have to compensate for. It's a reality, right? This is a reality. And the same thing goes in our spiritual exercise as Jodo Shinju Buddhists as well, right? We come to temple because we realize the importance of this spiritual life in our lives. We put our hands together and say Namo Amida Butsu because we realize our imperfections. This isn't to say that we're bad people, okay? So for our visitors, or first-time visitors, or second-time visitors, when I say imperfections, I'm not making judgments that, you have these imperfections because you're bad people, right? No, it's because we are human beings. All human beings are afflicted with kleshas, have afflictions, right? We have little bouts of laziness. I can tell you now that when I wake up in the morning, most of the time at 5 o'clock to go and do my first exercise for the morning, there is always this little part of me, and I'm certain for those of you who exercise as well, in the back of your head goes, do you really want to get up? Don't you want to stay in bed and relax and oh, look, your cat just came on the bed too to snuggle with you. Isn't that a much more like, tempting thing to do as opposed to getting up and breaking a sweat now and everything? Of course it is, right? That part never goes away, right? That little voice, that little temptation to, stay in bed and not do the things that I promised myself I was going to do, it's always there. And guess what? Sometimes that little voice wins. Okay, sometimes it wins. I'm only human, right? That happens sometimes. It's important not to be super hard on yourself when that does occur, right? And if it's a little infraction like, just staying in bed one day, right? I'm not talking about big infractions like stealing things or, doing harmful things, right? I'm talking about, allowing yourself another piece of chocolate cake, right? Which is altogether not too bad. But again, right, Shinran Shonin with this message reminds us the importance of not wasting our time as well. But the person who realizes true Shinjin will attain enlightenment with the end of this life. Right? So this is due to our spiritual practice or due to our spiritual reflection and saying the Nembutsu. We can think to ourselves, do I really need to self-reflect or do I really need to say that Nembutsu? Can't I just wait until the next Buddha comes and then I can follow that Buddha? No, because it's going to take over 5 billion years for that Buddha to get here. And, I don't know about you, but I can't wait that long. So this is why I love this particular wasan, because it teaches us the importance of not wasting our time. Now, of course, this doesn't mean I don't want you all to also exercise self-care. You all do need to take, we all need to take care of ourselves, probably better care for ourselves. In our society and in our world and in the way that technology is now, we do so much for others in terms of time management and giving ourselves to other people, that we, barely have time for ourselves anymore. Thankfully, when we come to temple, I would like to try to also make it as much about giving time for ourselves, as much as it also is about sharing this time with others. Because at the end of the day, the Nembutsu practice is your own spiritual practice. The Nembutsu is also, they're meant specifically just for all of you, for all of us to put our hands together and say, Namo Amida Butsu. And at the end of the day, Namo Amida Butsu is not a hard practice to do. Now, of course, it might take a little bit of practice on saying it, but it doesn't require hard, rigorous meditation and hard, rigorous rituals that we have to engage in the same way that a Tendai priest would. And yet, at the same time, the spiritual teaching of Namo Amida Butsu goes so deep that it sometimes rocks me to my core, because it recognizes my imperfect self as I am now. And yet, the working of the Dharma still does not stop. still does not cease. The working of the Dharma continues to work purely for my benefit here and now, right now as I am. And this is why this teaching is so precious to me. As we begin this next year, and I don't know if I'm dreading this, but in February of next year, I'm going to turn 36. And maybe some of you in the congregation are looking at me and go, that's still so young, Sensei. But I look at the younger crowd too, and I remember when I was their age as well. So maybe I'm the old man now to some people. In that case, though, the Nembutsu still is here for us right now in the present. No matter what age I turn to, no matter how old I am, no matter how long I live, I can still place my hands together and say Namo Amida Butsu to really feel this spiritual working, this Dharma activity that's working just for me, and to help me awaken more to my imperfect self. This doesn't mean I'm going to stop my fitness journey by any means whatsoever. I intend to increase it as much as I possibly can. This also does not mean I expect all of you to do the same thing that I'm doing. But what I am asking all of you to do is to also once again treat this temple as a place of deep self-reflection as well. Not just coming to visit your friends, although that is one of the most important aspects of this community space, but as a chance for you to come and give yourself a little self-reflection for the time that you are here. And there is no time like the present. So I'd like to thank all of you for taking time out of your busy holiday schedules to come to temple today and to listen to the chanting once again. And it's so wonderful to be here with all of you as we are now. I love this temple space so much. I love being with family. I absolutely love being with family and being with friends and getting together for family parties and games. But I also feel real inner calm and peace when I am here with all of you and we are sharing in the Dharma together. So with this being said, will you all join me in Basho as I recite the words of our founder, Master Shinran Shonin, from the Shozo Matsuwasan. Bodhisattva Maitreya must pass 5,670,000,000 years before attaining Buddhahood, attain enlightenment with the end of this life. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Nam Mandabs, Nam Mandabs, Nam Mandabs.